What's up, everybody? Another week, another great guest here on the Bird's Nest. I pinged here Daniel Klein, he's a senior AE from Databricks in the enterprise space. I pinged him immediately when I saw a few of his LinkedIn posts and then being called out by Brian Lamano for the way he sells as well. So I wanted to make sure that you had exposure to him. I'm super excited to pick his brain. Literally, I want to understand a lot of what's going on. So, Daniel, man, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, look, on a Friday around, 5:30, I appreciate you doing this, but I want to jump in. Your post today, and again, this will be out a couple weeks from now, but your post today said, "Hey, there's never been a better time to sell.
hmm
Technology is on point, customers are stoked, your team is strong." Okay? Why did you write that? What prompted you to really, just showcase that? Because a ton of people agreed with you. So I'm really curious on kind of what was the prompt that you had and said, "Hey, I want to share this with people."
Yeah. I think it's just what I'm doing. Um, just what I'm doing every day right now is really fun. Like I come from the space, I was in the space, I've been in for over 15 years now. So when I think about how sales was, let's just say 7, 8 years ago, basically, I was lucky enough to collect inbound leads. So I would just get all these inbound leads, and I had like a can demo, and I would do my 15 minutes of discovery, and I'd have like my deck of like, here are the 6 slides that I present, and I have my can discovery questions I ask over and over, and they're looking at the same competitors, and you're just like, you know exactly what those competitors are bad at, and you're able to, everything is the same. And it was great. It was fun because you kind of knew, all right, if I say this, then I'll get this reaction. And
Yep.
it was kind of a rinse and repeat process. And I was really good at it and it was fun and I liked closing deals. But it didn't quite work this like creative side of me.
Mm-hmm.
I think like I don't think that a lot of people think of salespeople as creative. Maybe like a little bit in the way that they communicate, but the things that they build, it's not the first word that I think that comes to mind for salespeople, creativity. It's more like grit, hustle, grind,
That's right.
like those types of things. And I've just been able to work this creative muscle way more than I ever had before. The ideas on how we can help customers. Like we have this internal agent that we built that basically connects to everything, right? We have all of our data stored. It's internal, right? So it's not going out anywhere. You have sensitive data. So we're very careful about what we share. But basically, I can use tools internally to build decks like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's cool. And the decks look nice and whatever. But like, so could any other company out there that, they could do
Mm-hmm.
that. Of course, I need to be smart about what I put into the deck and how I prompt it and what is actually going to show up in the
Mm-hmm.
deck. And what you realize is like when you use AI to put a deck together, you look at it and you're like, what am I even looking at? You don't even understand it because you didn't build it, right? So what I've realized I need to do is I say, okay, I had this idea around the things I want to talk about with this customer. Maybe it's the first time I'm talking to this customer, maybe it's the 10th time, but it's a new set of problems, a new set of things. All right, what do I need to present? And it builds this thing. And what I've learned to do really fast is put a talk track to these decks that I'm building. So I'll have the deck up and I'll go through every slide. And I might have this intro call in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the deck build it. I do the research on the company, the research on the person, figure out who are all the companies that we worked with in the past. What are the use cases this person would be interested in? What are the business problems that they're trying to solve? All these things. And then I'm able to put a deck, customers that we worked with in the past, and it builds this amazing thing. And then I have to write down and build the story, write the story, every single slide. I need to internalize, okay, I understand their problems. I understand, okay, cool. And then I'm delivering something I never delivered before.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between 7 years ago and that is so massive. And so I'm telling new stories all the time and learning new business problems all the time. And like, like Databricks used to sell just to data engineers and all that. I'm
Mhm.
selling to marketing. I'm selling to procurement. I'm selling to sales. I'm selling to finance. I'm selling to literally everyone right now. So I'm learning about all the supply chain, manufacturing. I'm learning so much. And it's just really awesome. It's just super fun.
That's you could sense, I think, like when I read your post today, first off, I mean, again, I just laughed. I go, well, you teed me up, right, for the first question. We'll take it there. But
Yeah.
when I read it, and I think this is true for posts that do very well, right? And I find it, I try and have this in my stuff when I write. Try is a keyword, by the way. I could sense the passion in you writing it. It just felt like I could feel it, right? And I'm like, that's not AI. That's him typing keys right now over coffee of just his heart coming out. And that's why I wanted to lead with it. Is because I could just, in my sense, I could feel it. And I wrote that my comment was, well, that's your mindset, right? Because another rep can have the same tech, the same accounts, right? The same, I guess you can't have the same team around them, but I'm going to say, okay, let's say they're a good team. But because your mindset is you're having fun, in my mind, that's what makes you so damn good, right? Is I mean, I just look at this and I go, your mindset is coming through here because you're putting this positive spin on it. And I know you have setbacks, and we can talk on some of the setbacks you've had, but where do you think mindset comes into this? Where do you think, you looking at this from your perspective comes into your success?
Yeah. So a couple things I want to touch on there. One is uh like I am lucky enough to be selling like an awesome technology,
Yeah.
right? Like I do think that there are companies out there that are at the forefront of AI.
Hmm.
And if you're lucky enough to be at one of those companies, it's almost impossible to not have exciting conversations. Like you have technology that we've never seen before that is solving business challenges that we never thought we'd be able to solve. And so when you're talking to a customer and they're just so excited and curious and interested and like that's just fun, man. You know what I mean? So I think that there's like yes, there's some mindset stuff with me for sure. And like, I wouldn't say, I don't know if, I mean, a lot of Databricks sellers are having a good time. They enjoy their job. But I do think that the industry right now is going through a really special time. And I just feel grateful to be a part of it. So I want to start with that. The
Hmm.
second, I think you asked something about like, how do I get the mindset or
Well, it's kind of like, yeah, like, I mean, have you always had,
oh, I remember.
yeah.
Yeah, so I've always been a hard worker, but if I'm being honest, like I definitely have my downs too.
Hmm.
And there's times where like even right now, I'll say even like what I'm doing right now. Um, I got promoted into this role last year. I think
Hmm.
it was around September. And I didn't do too much outbound last year because I had some accounts that I was just working really hard. So I didn't have to work the outbound muscle. But come February, got the whole new book of business and I was doing outbound. And I had no idea what I was doing. Like I've done outbound before, but really only for 1 year, and it was like mid-market and small, and it was like smaller businesses, and I was kind of going at the IC level, and it felt like I was just like churning, and all the activity was not leading to the types of conversations I wanted to have, and I was just like hustling and hustling, and it wasn't nearly as fun. And I was kind of doing some of the similar stuff at the beginning of this year, just trying to get meetings and get to ICs and get to directors and talk to the data engineering managers, talk to the, typically who our champions might be. And I was just like grinding, and it worked. Like I was able to get some good stuff at the beginning of the year, um, but I wasn't having that much fun yet. And then I had this kind of light bulb moment of like, I really understand what the business challenges are of what my customers are trying to do. If I go after a data engineer or even a VP of engineering or whatever it may be,
Mhm.
they care about the technology. And a lot of times they have their tech stack. Maybe they even brought it in 3 years ago,
Mhm.
whatever it may be, and they don't want to change things. Maybe they want to innovate with what they have, but changing things is hard, and they've hired their team around, the technology that they have, and they're trained, and generally change requires a lot more work. And so, there's obviously tech teams that are very innovative and they want to know things and they want to change things and they care about the business, right? But sometimes they don't. And the data, ICs don't always have power, they might have information. And I kind of like had this realization, and it was something we were talking about in Databricks as well. And I just started going after like execs,
Mhm.
VP, C level with like very thoughtful exec messaging that really, for the most part, some AI help, but mostly written by me, thoughtful voicemails, commenting on LinkedIn's, and like it just felt so much more consequential. Every
Mhm.
time I hit send, every time I called, every voicemail, every time I did something, I was like, on the other end of that is something that potentially could matter. And so it made outbounding more fun because it felt like there was more consequence to my action. And then
Mhm.
it started working. And suddenly I'm having conversations with folks and I'm getting in the door. And I'm not talking about bits and bytes. I'm talking about multi-million dollar problems that we can solve.
Mhm.
And so that has been literally like a last 3 months type of thing. You know what I mean? Like I would say
Yeah.
I made that change about 3 months ago. And, it's been 3 months where I changed my messaging. And
Yeah.
only in the third month now am I like really starting to see the fruits of that labor.
I hope people take that away, right? Because I think we get, and it's not you, it's just social media, it's everything that's out there. And you see your title, you see how long you've been doing it, you see the company of Databricks, which is incredible, and all of a sudden you go, oh man, everything's hunky dory, right? Everything's great. Like how hard can this be? And for you to be very honest there, and I appreciate that, to say, hey, look, I was hurt. I was kind of trying to get going, trying to get going. Then all of a sudden you say, hey, look, well, wait a second. I'm going to provide value here with every message I do is going to have a real intent to it. And then, oh, by the way, it takes 3 months to see the fruit and to see the stuff kind of come from that. Look, to me, that means a lot, right? Because we've all gone through that. Hell, I just changed jobs and now I'm trying to figure out my new message and my new piece and puzzle. So I appreciate that. But you also mentioned a word in there, storytelling, a few minutes back, and you posted on this as well. And I think this is great. And you said, if I could share one piece of advice with my younger sellers out there, it's become great at storytelling. And
Mhm.
I wanted you to expand on that for,
Yeah.
like, I have a few questions on it, but why that post? Why that element of storytelling is the most important to a young seller?
Yeah. So two things. And they're competing, but if you were to have asked me that question even 2 years ago, I
Hmm.
would have said probably the single most important thing that a seller needs to be good at is discovery, right?
Hmm.
What are the pain? What are the struggle? What are you going with today? What are the business challenges that you're facing? And I still think that that's absolutely critical. Um, but we can get so much more information than we used to.
Hmm.
Um, Technology is evolving at an insanely rapid rate, and what we're capable of these days with technology is so different that there's a lot more education that needs to happen, right? I think previously we kind of expected our customers to understand the tech, and it was like kind of just figuring out which one's better and all that. Um, but now I feel like there's a lot more education that needs to happen. So, so yeah, I feel like, even going back to what I said previously, it's less about like even the first call. If you think about how the old calls used to be, it would be like first 20 minutes is discovery.
Hmm.
Tell me all of your problems, right? And now, based on what you told me, I'm going to show you a demo and I'm going to try to weave in your problems.
Hmm.
Whereas now, the way that I show up is like, here are the problems as I see it. Here are the things that I believe are happening in your business because I'm working with this other retailer who does exactly what you guys do. And these were some of the things that they said that they're struggling with. Are you guys struggling with that today? And then once I come in with the POV,
There.
and I'm like, so is that something? Oh, interesting. So, you know, um, you mentioned that, you're not able to, I'm not gonna get into use cases. Like, tell me more about that. How are you guys doing that today? So it's a mix of the
Mhm.
storytelling with, of course, discovery baked throughout, but you really need to be able to, so that's the first part. And then the second part is the reason that we need to be good at storytelling today is like, customers are wildly overwhelmed with technology. Okay. Every company right now who has a product that's worth selling has a competitor. Nobody is the only company that's doing what they do because it's so easy to build technology today, right? It's impossible to be the only company. And so right now, when we're in this space where everyone has competitors and you can build new features so fast, everyone is saying that they do the same things. As soon as you say we do this, they're like, well, these guys do that too. It's very hard to find defensible differentiators. You really have to get under the hood and like really explain it, which is not always easy. So how do you win? So how do you win in this world where everyone's like, oh yeah, we have context or we have an ontology or we have this or like they have that too, is you have to tell amazing stories. They need to believe you more than the other company. And the way you do that is you use other customers,
Mhm.
you talk about what you see in the space, you talk from the position of being an expert. Like I often like, I work with 16 of other, of the other largest retailers in the world. Three of them right now, these are the things that they're doing. Here's some of the challenges that they're experiencing. There's one who's doing something really well. Here's what they're doing. And then they're like, oh, interesting. We want to do that. And now suddenly it's not even about the technology anymore. What I've had, this realization that I've had is like, if we can so easily duplicate technology. Now, people are going to say they do, but like, there are people who say they do what Databricks does. They don't. Like, Databricks is a
Right.
special platform. Like, and
Yep.
it's frustrating because it's like, oh, they just say that they do this and then you have to explain it, but whatever. That's beside the point. If everyone is saying that, like, what is the defensible differentiator at that point? It is you. It is your
Mhm.
team. It's who you are. It's the expertise that you bring. It's the customers that you've worked with in the past. It's the executives that are on your team. It's do they understand our industry? Where are they going as an organization? Who are the engineers that they have? How are they investing back in the platform? Right? And how do you tell someone that? You got to be a good storyteller.
Yeah. So when you say come to the meeting with a point of view,
Yeah.
the first word that comes into my mind is credibility. Of I show up as a prospect and you come in with that and you give
Mhm.
me that, it's a as I snap my fingers there for the second time, it's a bang. You come with credibility of you know the industry, you're not going to waste my time, right? I can talk on a different level with you other than, oh, so what's the priority for H2? That's a
Right.
totally different conversation of a sales conversation. Now, I will say this. You say, hey, I keep up with the industry. I've heard that a few times. All right.
Hmm.
Now your industry is changing so quick. And a lot of, I mean, let's face it, every industry is chasing real quick because of
Right.
technology. How do you
Yep.
keep up? Is it reading, is it the daily news you get pumped in? Like, what's your go to of hey, you stay current? How do you do it?
I use the products. I use all the products.
Hmm.
I use Databricks a lot. So I told you about that internal product that we have
Yep. Yep.
where you can use AI in a number of ways to do
Yep.
stuff. And we have a leaderboard for who has the most usage. Even though
Really?
Databricks is working very hard on ensuring, we're not like token maxers, we're
Mm-hmm.
more on the value maxing side.
Mm-hmm.
Although this is a different conversation, that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
I am kind of like the top of the leaderboard because I use it. And what I've found is that when you use the technology, you become more passionate about it, you understand it more, you're more interested in it. It helps you be better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've always been like, ever since I remember, like, and this comes from when I was, I'm 38 now. This comes from when I was 23, like my first AE job. I did my own demos. Like I always learned to use the technology. I've probably done over 10,000 demos in my life. Like, so for me, it's really just about like using the technology and seeing what it can do. And then like I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, I
Mm-hmm.
listen to a lot of podcasts, things like that. But I was never like big into education. I was always like just do the thing, and through doing the thing, you're gonna learn.
Love it.
Yeah.
Look, if I ever went, the best example I can use is if I ever went to sell cars, I would only go sell for Honda because I've driven Honda for 25 years and I love it.
Hmm.
Selling anywhere else would feel like I was like cheating,
Yeah.
right? Like, but I understand what you say. Like, I hear people say all the time, hey, man, you want to go sell something? Go buy it yourself and use it. And that's exactly kind of what you're saying,
I
right?
think
So,
that the difference is, yes, I use Databricks, but I think that um, your ability as a seller to use the technology that is available today and be very good at that is going to make you not just better preparing presentations or doing discovery or whatever, it's going to make you understand the possibilities of tech.
yep.
And every company, for the most part, is sitting on some type of LLM, is building AI capabilities into their platform. So even if you're using AI capabilities outside of your product, you're understanding the possibilities of AI, which also helps you sell your product better.
Yeah.
So like I think like you really like I hate saying like I'm AI pilled or whatever, but I am. Like I use AI all over the place. Sometimes it feels like a waste of time, but I what I've realized is that when I feel like AI is a waste of time, it's because I've realized how I haven't quite learned how to work with it yet. I don't fully understand how to work together. Like we're all building relationships with this thing.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's
I
a
do.
brand new relationship with everybody. And the sooner you can work through the kinks of that relationship, the better it'll be.
It's such a good example. It really is. No, I mean, look, your point is spot on. And you said going back early in your career, well, I want to take you back a couple years earlier than what you said as your first AE is
Mhm.
selling door to door and security systems,
Mhm.
right? How did what that provide you? Looking back on it, maybe in the moment you couldn't really understand it as much, but 15, 16 years removed, looking back now, what did that provide you?
Oh my gosh, so much. I'm not sure where to even start on that one. I think the biggest one is that it made me feel like anything is possible because I remember my first door I ever knocked and how scared I was. I was so scared to knock that door. And obviously I did. And I remember some days where like like that first week knocking was brutal. Like I remember calling my mom just being like, I don't know if I can do this. Like just in the worst possible place. And so I went from like this is literally impossible. I've never been more scared of anything to I remember the first door where I decided to stop being scared. I knocked on the door. It was the last day of the first week of me going door to door. And I knock on the door. It's this little lady, and she tells me no. And I'm like, and before I would just like walk away. And then I just kind of like kept trying all these objection handling things that we'd been getting taught, which by the way, if you're breaking into sales, you need to be in a culture where they're teaching how to sell, period. End of story. Like, if you're 30, 35, you figured it out, great. If you're 20 to 25, you've never sold anything, you need to be around people. That's besides the point. It was the
Mhm.
end of that first week, and I remember for literally 5 minutes, I just kept trying to use these objections. She must have said no like 30 times. And she ended up shutting the door, but I was like, oh, I'm okay. She said no, and I'm okay, and I have nothing to worry about. And then I was way less fearful. And then I think it was like, it might have been that day I got my first deal. And after that, I was just like off to the races. Like,
Nice.
ended up being a great rep. So for me, it was knowing that you can have this belief in your head that something literally might be impossible and this feeling of like fear and all these things, and to know that it is possible.
It's awesome, man. Look, I saw that in your background, and I have known guys that have been with Cutco knives and have done solar and have done
Mhm.
whatever else, right? And anytime I ask that question, the answer is always different, but it's always powerful. And I can hear, from just you saying it, kind of what it provides. There was also something you posted, and it actually goes back to that door to door. And you posted up recently about paying it forward and helping people. And you actually mentioned helping like one of you guys who you went door to door with, kind of come into tech and their success.
Mhm.
A lot of people talk about paying forward, right?
Mhm.
I get the sense in just hearing, reading it and getting to know you here that you actually really believe in it, right?
Mhm.
So talk on that if you would, man. Why the sense of paying it forward for you?
For me, it's just how I am. It's like if like I have hundreds of messages in my LinkedIn message box. And, I have a 1 year old and I have a social life and I try to take care of myself and I have a full-time job and all this stuff, right? Um, but I'm one of those people that has like an internal to-do list. And if there is someone that's in my inbox that's asking for help, it'll just be in my mind. Like I just know it will be in my mind. And until I clear that out somehow and do something about it, it'll just be there. So I feel like it's just been one of those things I have. And I actually think it's what I think most people have it. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm,
actually don't think that I'm unique in that. Um I think that a lot of people are the same way as I am. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of about recognizing that you actually do have the time, usually, like, and that you just need to make a little bit of it. It's not that people don't want to do it. I think it's that they have excuses about why they can't do it or couldn't do it, or even maybe are scared. You know what I mean? Are scared that they might not be able to help that person. Um, and and those are both not true. Even if you don't feel like you can help that person, just the act
yep,
of trying to help somebody will help them. Though, because it makes them believe in the world just a little bit more, which matters so much.
yep,
Um, so so yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that kind of I think came naturally to me. My mom was like a psychotherapist and my dad was like a lawyer. He was a pension lawyer. So he fought to get people's pensions when corporations
mhm,
didn't want to pay them. So I think there's like a little bit of like some moral thing inside of me too, but
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Your upbringing, look, everybody's upbringing dictates a whole lot of things, and it sounds like that was spot on with you, man. All right, so last question. We're going to wrap up. We're at about a 30-minute mark. So the 1 year old with
mhm,
trying to stay in shape,
mhm,
with having a social life, which I don't think you have a social life with a 1 year old, but okay, social life could be on a Target, by yourself, right? How
mhm.
has life changed, man? How has your perspective changed on things with Databricks and crushing, and all of a sudden now we got a son or daughter is one, and one's dad. How have things changed a little bit for you?
Um, it's just so much, it's so much better. It's just, uh, um, yeah, life is just like, it just feels better. Um, It actually doesn't feel harder in certain ways.
Mm,
Like to be honest, we have really amazing help. Like knock on wood, we're very, very lucky that we have a nanny that we trust and we love. And it actually gives me an opportunity to sometimes be social. Like I'll
mm,
take a night, a week, and she'll stay, or my wife will stay with the kid, and I make sure that I stay social. I make sure that I see my friends
mm,
like once or twice a week. Like that is critical to me. Um,
mm,
but the reason that I'm able to do that is because I have an amazing partner. You know, I can have a conversation with my partner and be like, hey, I'd love to go out and see my friends and do this thing. Is that okay? And she says yes. Right. And I also have an amazing nanny. Like last week, me and my partner we're getting married in a month, but that's a different conversation. We went out to a concert Friday night and our nanny stayed at night and it was amazing. And there might be like a little guilt. We don't see our kid all the time. I probably get to be with him 3 to 4 hours a day, but then we're so happy. And then when we wake up Saturday morning, and it was his birthday last Saturday, we had this really cute birthday party for him. Even though we were only on like 3 or 4 hours of sleep because of the concert, we were so happy because it was so fun. And then we're present with him and we want to be with him. And it just feels like I've been lucky enough to be able to build my life in a way where I can spend time with my partner, I can spend time with my kid, I can do my job well, I can go work out, I can see my friends, and I've worked really hard on architecting that. Like, I put an extraordinary amount of effort in doing all of them. It's not easy, and you can let things go if you want. But just know that when you let things go, I always called it the pillars. I came up with this about, I want to say like 10 years ago, and now everyone has. So if you have social life and family and partner and these different pillars, if one pillar falls away, the weight becomes a little more on the other pillars for you to feel good.
mm.
And so I try really hard to keep the weight distributed nicely across all of them. Of course, there's times where you have to focus on work, right? But I would say that my my specialty as a human is that is architecting the type of life that I want to live and putting a lot of effort into it.
Damn, that's a good way to leave it right there, man.
Yeah.
I could probably go for another 5, 10 just on the word architecting your life. But damn, that was good. Look, there's a lot of, I used to say on every episode, I always say, well, there's that moment that we're gonna chop up and I'm gonna show it on social. Heck, I got 4 or 5. I gotta figure out what to tell. But look, Daniel, this didn't disappoint. I knew you had crazy background. You came recommended by people that have been on here and that I'm, friends with. And like I always say, the conversation goes where you kind of take it, and man, you took it to some really good stuff. I hope people got a lot out of it. I hope you enjoyed it. And congrats, by the way, hey, on your son or daughter. What do you have, the little one?
We have a son.
Little son, 1 year, and you getting married. Any big plans on the wedding? Are we going off like anywhere special? Like, what are we doing?
So we're getting married October 3rd, and we think we have a location, and I'll just leave it at that.
We got look. I'm gonna look for like. I'm gonna come back and go. Hey man, are we good? Like, where did we
We'll
end
be
up?
fine. It's funny because my last line was like, I architect the life. I'm like, I don't even know where
Right?
we're
Like,
getting married.
I'm like, where are we? I don't know. Whatever. We'll
We'll
be
figure it out.
fine. October 4th, we will be married. Just not quite sure how that's
Just
gonna
not sure
play.
how it's
We
gonna happen
will. We will. All
yet.
right, man. Hey, thank you so much. I know it's again on a Friday. I really appreciate it. I took, like we talked about before we hit record, I learned something in every one of these. I learned a ton. So, thank you. Enjoy. And to everybody listening, watching, have a great weekend. Enjoy,
Thanks,
guys.
man.
Take care.
Bye.